noch, wird noch spannend, aber...
Können wir sonst irgendwie richten.
So, okay. Sorry, there were banner.
Welcome back, everybody, to our panel discussion with the topic supporting hardware companies to accelerate innovation and bring growth to Austria post-Corona. I'm really looking forward that you all have the time to join this really exclusive panel, and also we have now the technical issues, we also solved them, so I can see all of you perfect, so I think that's the most important. I think for the audience, it would be the best thing if we make a small introduction round. So just like maximum 1 minute, like just briefly explain what the company is doing, what you are doing, and then we can start with the panel discussion. Maybe Stephen, do you want to start?
Yes, for sure. So my name is Stephen Lutra. I have a small company for product development in Vienna. So usually my customers are startups, but I also have customers from industry and small and medium-sized companies. I usually help my customers in order to go from product in the product development process, from patent acquisition to industrial design, overall producing the product, creating the product, designing the product, and then constructing it and building it with 3D printing methods and all other methods available. And then I help them to go to serial production, and then there is the point where I give it into my network and to other partners in order to have a good serial product.
Oh. All right, cool, Stephen. Thank you for the introduction. Let's continue with Christian. Christian from Factory Hub.
Yeah, thanks, Linus. Thanks for having me. Thanks for the invitation. Yeah, I'm Chris. I'm an innovation manager from the Factory Hub. We are a place for hardware startups in Vienna. And yeah, we are supporting startups from the beginning, from the idea to the production. Yeah, in a special field, in this field of microelectronic products. So we are producing PCBs, but we are also supporting startups in this wide range of field, engineering, manufacturing from other parts, not only PCBs. Yeah, to be a perfect place for startups where they can create new products, new services, and to bring these things alive, and also hopefully in the best case also successful.
Hey, super cool, Christian. Thank you for that. So you're more to the side of building up a hardware community and also bringing more support in a really early stage. I think that's amazing, and it's a super fit to our topic. I think a good combination would also be like Raphael. If you are up next, Raphael, we know each other, I think, since like almost 6 months. We had a lot of nice talks. Maybe please introduce yourself and welcome.
Hi, Linus. Thank you for having me on the panel. And it's a great initiative that you're bringing this topic big in Austria for hardware startups, scaling up with hardware, and yeah, to be successful with hardware. I work since 12 years for Austrian Federal Economic Chamber for the internationalization department. And what we do is with our 110 offices worldwide to support these startups, these scale-ups with programs and approach them to markets like Asia, like United States. So cool. We started 11 years ago with the Go Silicon Valley initiative. Companies joining us for 3 months there, and now we have these initiatives in Asia, Africa. And the cool stuff about this, every region, every country has other focus, and there are many regions with hardware focuses too. So great to talk about it later.
Yeah, super cool. Yeah, I mean, everyone knows Scale Up and Wirtschaftskammer in Austria. It's like a big accelerator. So it's super good that you're here and joined us for the discussion. Next up, I would give my mic to Julia. Julia Reilinger is from BNC, and it's also super cool because now we also have a part of funding and investment in a bit of a later stage. So welcome, Julia. Stage is yours. Yeah.
Hi, thanks also from my side. Yeah, as you said, I'm an investment manager at BNC Innovation Investments, and this company is part of BNC Private Foundation. And the purpose of this foundation is to foster entrepreneurship in Austria. So that's the overarching goal, and all our actions taken are measured with this goal. And we have a strong background with industrial companies. So the Austrian industrial sector is really important to us. But as we all know, innovation is key to stay competitive. So we also invest in technology companies, mainly in industrial tech companies. And for us, industrial tech means the application of technology on industrial products and processes. So that's usually the companies that we as BNC Innovation Investments invest in.
Okay, super cool, Julia. Good to have you here on board in this panel discussion. The last speaker here in this panel, you already know him because he was part of the experts talk. It is Philipp Sonnleitner. Philipp, it's super good that you're also sitting here in this panel because you already went through this whole stages and you already worked together with different partners. Can you explain a little bit again what was the initial role that you had, and also introducing again, maybe because some of the audience joined later, the product that you have?
Sure, thanks for having me. My name is Philipp. I'm the founder of MicMe. We make microphones for digital products, meaning wireless microphones actually for smartphones. So it looks like that thing, which offers a premium sound quality for your smartphone videos. That's our product. We started out 7 years ago, actually. So a little bit older than 7 years, which sounds quite old but for hardware startup, that's actually just in the beginning phase. And yeah, we're quite happy that we survived 7 years, this wild ride of being a hardware startup, getting through all this mess.
Yes, exactly. So Philipp, as soon as you have a comment and if you want to make just feel free to ask your question or to give your comments to the audience and also to the panel speakers. I would really want to start with Steven now, because Steven Luthra is from the process. He's at the really early stage with hardware companies together. So it's super good to also hear his perspectives. And for me, super cool would be like, what obstacle could appear in the product development process in a pretty early phase, Steven, but also which advice would you give the hardware startups in that kind of stage?
I would say, especially in the beginning, there are a lot of problems choosing which are the right partners and how to find the right partners, where to begin and where to start with your product. And one obstacle could be you should analyze your product, what kind of product it is actually. Is it a product, do you enter in a market where you have lots of players? Are there already companies that have a certain product development process for your product? Do you have a completely new device entering an unexplored market, or even creating a new market with your product? Maybe it's better to choose an independent product development specialist. And so there are many things to say about it, but those are one of the important ones. And I would also say a lot of entrepreneurs think that it's just being smart and having a good product is everything in order to have a successful product. And this is not the case from my point of view. So there are many different factors besides money, of course, but we will hear about this anyway. And about the question, which advice I would give a hardware startup, I thought about this, and I want to keep it really short here. And besides from having the funds and having the money for it, I would say build a network, research experts within, find the right ones, which is pretty hard, and Philipp will tell you about this, I guess. And if you have found them, then listen to them, stay open, and learn to give up wrong paths, for example, is also a really important thing. And ask stupid questions and communicate.
Yes, Exactly, Stephen. I think that's totally one of the right approaches, and it also fits really good also to Christian Bodor from Factory Hub, because Christian, I mean, your main goal was like to build up a hardware community in Austria, and I think that's something that is super cool, because you need the communication between the hardware startups. You need communication also to different associations. What was the real purpose behind like Factory Hub, and where is the future path of Factory Hub?
Yeah, at first I think the journey doesn't end at the moment. So we see more and more. It's upcoming, the topic, the community, what you need in the special field of hardware development and hardware products. I think in this case you need a give forward mindset, a give forward attitude, what we can copy paste from Silicon Valley, yes, and we need borderlines all the time between different experts, different companies, and different startups. What I very often have seen that that they build up a wall and please don't copy my things. Really, we need a place. Where exchange is in the daily business, yeah, and then something can happen, and this is what the Factory Hub is doing at the moment. We organize or orchestrate the startups, the experts. Also, Stephen is an expert in our hub, yeah, to combine all these possibilities, what the startup needs from an early stage. They don't need maybe money in the beginning, so what they need is a special knowledge of technical knowledge, yeah, in an early stage. They can fail early, fail fast, and one part is much more important: fail intelligent. Yeah, don't be failure from the beginning as the other as made the industry 40 years ago. Okay, and this part, fail intelligent, is very important in these two failures. This is what we do. We have seen it by different startups. They get a fast feedback from different experts in the Factory Hub, but also external, and they are much more faster. Exactly this agile setting, yeah. And it needs a lot of different things also for the future. We think more all in body and soul, so we need hardware and software, or in the other way, please think the hardware as a digital thing or as a software thing. Then you will get completely other perspectives for your hardware product too, and also get experts in software programming. This is a big question mark what we have at the moment. And what we also do is combine DI. So we see more and more upcoming cool technologies, some like AI on the edge, yeah. But please find a cool guy in Vienna. They are interested to make a hardware product in AI devices on the AI on device. Yeah. It's so hard to find these guys and these people to discuss, and this is what we do at the moment. Bring the people, they are crazy enough, yeah, and they want to share an innovation idea, and then is something upcoming, and please, we can build a startup or another company.
Yeah. But yeah, I mean, that's super interesting, because you're giving like all the founders, all the innovators, all the hardware founders a space where they can meet, where they can exchange, and I think that's super cool. And it's also more from the private side and a more focused side on hardware development. But we also have here, for example, Raphael Rasinger from Wirtschaftskammer, who offers like a really broad offer of supporting hardware companies, not only hardware companies, also different kind of startups. Raphael, can you give us an overview? At what stage are you involved in startups, or in particular hardware startups, and what kind of different associations do you have like in the background who is helping the hardware startups? I think that's super interesting.
Yeah, thank you, Linus. Yeah. For us, it's very important in Austria, as we are a small country. Yeah, but we have great minds in engineering, in designing, in approaching new ideas. And the big topic is of being a bright region, yeah, with great minds, is how to scale it up. So what we do is, with this 110 offices network, is to help these great, bright ideas to grow. And of course, as you said, there are two stages. One stage is the early stage, is the idea stage, is the concept stage, where we have great accelerators at universities, where we have great incubators and early stage assistance. So this is really great. So 20 years ago, it may have been a problem, but I would say in the last 10 years, you get a great infrastructure in Austria where you get supported, yeah, by your university or any incubator, accelerator, even on regional level. No? So it's also called you have state-owned, you have private accelerators, you have them in Upper Austria, you have them in Vienna, you have them in Vorarlberg. So it's really great. And also the startup network grew, and that's how we get to know Linus. That's really great. And then there's, of course, the second challenge, which also Philip made through, is, so what's the next step? Once I have a MVP, once I have first market feedback, how can I grow? How can I access? And this is often the topic. Okay, the Austrian market then is not big enough. You need to go abroad. You need to go to trespass the frontiers of Austria, and that's where we come in. Either you have yourself partners or cooperation partners that are corporates who help you to make this step, to scale up, to get these resources, to find the sales channels abroad, or you have the possibility with us to scale up with our network. Being offices in Singapore, in Tokyo, in Silicon Valley, wherever, of course. But office is not all, as you said. The most important approach is pro-action. Yeah? That means, okay, I have this issue. I want to find a distribution partner. I want to find somebody who helps me with approach other partners who help me abroad. So that's where we come in. And the great stuff is, and the great news for Austrian companies is, there's this Go International initiative where you get funds, extra funds for going abroad.
Okay, super nice. I think there's a lot of offers for young hardware startups, but also other startups. We just have questions from the audience, Raphael. The question is from Romain. He's asking, which elements help you to identify a future successful startup? So decreasing your uncertainty and investment risk. What kind of criteria do you have in mind?
As our experience with all these programs we have, it's not only for startups and scales, what you say, it's a very interesting field, the hardware startups. We will say one very important criteria, and it isn't something new, but at the end, it is the team, it is the people. Huh? You may start with lousy idea, a lousy product, or a concept that doesn't work out on site, or which, like Philip made the experience, where you have some challenges to solve. But with a great team, with a team which is engaged, which looks forward and looks for challenges, then you have the best set in your company to be successful.
Exactly. Yeah. Maybe we can also shift this question to Julia Reilinger from BNC, because I think it's super interesting also to hear her perspective, because she's a little bit on a on a later stage than in the totally seed investment. So Julia, I would be really interested on what are the investment criteria that you're looking for when you're investing in new companies in Austria, for example?
Yes, first of all, as I said, we invest in innovative companies that have a technology that is of relevance to industrial companies, so industrial tech. Then from a scale perspective, we invest in scale-ups. So just what Raphael said, there's a great support network in Austria for seed companies, but we are a bit later stage, so we start with Series A and also do later stages. Then I think there's two important factors, and one was just mentioned. The first is that the technology alone is not enough, but it has to add value to the customer. So it can be the greatest technology, but it also has to have custom and add value to this existing customer. Mm-hmm. And the second one is what everybody can tell you, that it's the team. And I think even with hardware startups or with B2B companies in general, it's even more important because development can take time, sales cycles can take time. So as an investor, you have to be convinced that this team stays together and is also motivated for the long term. Mm-hmm. But I think there's also another factor, that it should also be the other way around, that the startup or the SME also chooses their partners carefully and also their investors carefully, because not every investor fits to every startup. And we experience that with good startups, it's like the investors also have to pitch. So not only the startup has to show what they can do, but also we have to show how we can support them. And I think that's really important in every stage of a company, that you find the right partner that can really help you grow.
Yes, exactly. And I think Philip can sing a song from that, literally. Philip, I'm just asking you, if you think back to a really early stage where you were in a one-man show, how important is it to you to have such a support from the different partners in an early stage that we are providing right now?
Yeah, I think it's the most important one. I mean, it sounds, again, quite the answer, but I actually really started as a one-man show. I would not suggest to do that. So first, I would try to find at least one or two other people, your co-founders, hopefully, and then see what you're good with. So this is like the inner circle, like the founders of the company, and see what is the balance of this. So where you're good to. So in my case, I'm a product engineer person. Mm. So I'm good at system thinking, and I actually quite passionate. So I light the fire with a lot of people. So that's where I'm good to add. But actually, some business perspective and the hardcore engineering part were missing. So in my case, I should have searched right away for a business person, a marketing, sales, and a CTO kind of person. So that is just an example. And then if you look at a little bit more broader circles, like what you need, so maybe you can build a prototype with some easy tools in the first couple of months. But then if you go further down the route to a real prototype or a small scale series of 10, 50, whatever your product pieces, you need those other partners like manufacturing, more designers, other external partners who help you develop. Carefully select them. And we discussed this last week already, that I rather would spend 1 or 2 months longer in selecting the right one, or if you have the feeling that this or that partner, that's the same for investor, is not the right one, trust your gut feeling, make your background checks. And even if for example, for investors, if you're running out of money, you always, at least in my case, we found a way to organize money. And you think you're running out of money, but the money, you have 1 or 2 extra months you can afford. So search the right partner, the right state grant, the right investor, because you have to, in hardware normally, you have to live with this partner for quite some time. It's not if you go into a full manufacturing cycle, like your manufacturing partner, it's like if you're hiring someone similar to a team or a real relationship. So it's not so easy to divorce.
Yeah, and I think it's also like part of your job, Stephen and Philip, like design to manufacturing, finding the right partner, outsourcing, also advising customers in a really early stage where do they have to produce the prototypes? You're literally also producing prototypes on your own, yeah? So you're giving the advice also in a really early stage, and I think that's a super important stage to give that kind of advice. And can you please tell us about some experience from your customers that you had? Like, how are the hardware owners and founders? What are they thinking? What are they thoughts in the totally beginning, and how you manage to structure that kind of thoughts and giving them advice to go into the right direction?
Yeah, as I said earlier, I mean, what are their thoughts? Not sharing all their thoughts with me, I have to say, but as I said earlier, one of the most important things I think is to analyze your product. So in a very early stage, you have your idea, you have your product. Let's say you have different possibilities how you can develop your product, which is just from a product development point of view. So let's say, does anyone know how to develop your product? Then I would say try to join them or try to find them as a partner if you have a product in a market that is already existing. And if no one knows how your product is to be developed, then find an independent product development specialist. So let's say you have a complicated electronic device that's an enhanced product alongside other products in an already existing market. Yeah. And then I would find a partner who has knowledge about the product. And on the other hand, if you have a completely new device, then you're entering a new market, then maybe you choose an independent one. But in any case, if you are in a market with very little competition, then the only one who knows how to develop your product is your competition, and they might not help you. And so I think it is really important to keep that in mind in an early stage.
Super nice insights, really interesting. We also have questions from the audience. I just see it's a question from Simon. The question is, what can we do to 10 times the number of hardware startups in Austria? Maybe someone from you want to take over this kind of question?
I think I did not understand the question correctly.
No,
maybe it doesn't address me. I don't know.
I have the same feeling.
It's just like, what can we do?
Okay. I feel it addresses me, but please go ahead if you have some more ideas to add. You're right. I think it's a mindset topic too. We are very happy to have guys like Philip who came from manufacturing industry and then started up. And of course, this transition was a big challenge for you, Philip, but you did it, and it's possible, and you're a role model for that. So this is first. We have these role models. It is a mindset change. Second, we have this support. Yeah. So you are not alone, although it's at the very end you are alone, but you're in an ecosystem. You're not alone as a person, and to share your approaches. And third. To foster this mindset that you can do it, and that hardware is hard. Yes, it is. But if you are very focused and if a goal, you can do it. Why? Because you can think outside of Austria. You have creatized like Linus, where you accompany these companies and these ideas, people first. Second, you have a lot of hardware hubs where you can do the engineering, yeah, right? In Austria, Vienna, we are great in engineering, but you can search and find. Of course, this is a challenge, but you can a partner who has to do with this manufacturing, or who does the manufacturing. For example, where our programs, we have a program Go Shenzhen, where with 8 Austrian startups we approached Shenzhen, which is the hardware manufacturing hub. Besides Shanghai, besides Beijing, but also in Mexico, Guadalajara is also a manufacturing hub. So we approached this hub with the companies, and it was eye-popping because, yeah, with the power of cooperation, it's possible. And what happened since many years, for example, Emporia, this Silver Age mobile device manufacturer, has a hardware accelerator over there, for example, and this is an Austrian-originated company. So you're not alone, and I think events like today help to foster this mindset.
Yes, so, exactly.
I want to add to that because, you know, as I said, I've been through this journey. So I love the question because it's a very typical startup question, 10x. So if we want to increase by 20%, then maybe you can do with some events. But if you want to increase by 10x, which is quite a lot, you have to see it in a 5 to maybe 10-year perspective. So I'd argue my kids are now 13 and 14 years old, 3 boys. The oldest one will make an engineering education because he loves to build stuff. So I think if you want to go 10x, it's the next generation. It's not me. I'm super old for founded 42 years old. So it's about those 50-year-olds who grow up in a YouTube time. It's quite astonishing. So like my oldest son is building his own mountain bikes. He never ever learned that by any course. He's just watching like a million different YouTube videos and learns how to mountain bike by himself. And exactly the same thing, as soon as building hardware maybe never becomes as sexy as mountain biking, like Fabio Wittmer, if they know the Austrian guy. So everyone in Austria, the business of mountain biking and the big bike boom, and I'm coming to point why this is important, is accelerated by those role models. We have Fabio Wittmer, he's one of the most famous bike riders, and the business, those young guys are going crazy. They see these crazy videos. We have some super successful riders, and then they try to replicate, and they just, even my youngest son with 9 years tried to do a wheelie with his bike with 9 years, and there's like 6 years old or 9 years doing backflips in the world. Is kind of crazy. So that next generation, so the next leapfrog of the generation of our 10x founders is going to be maybe the generation with guys, girls to include it, who are maybe 15, 20 years old. So we need to look to the next generation. And do they have like roles? If you look in software, if you look to Bitpanda, for example, in Austria, we have our first unicorn. I'm sure in 5 years, they will try to replicate it. We have like, I don't know, maybe 5 times more software startups, because finally we have the first unicorn in Austria. And that will, and we need something similar in hardware. That will lead to 5 to 10x more founders and people trying it and making it easy to get into the game.
Exactly, Philip. I think Austria is an amazing ground also for hard startups. We just need the connections and also the support from every association. I was also talking to Julia last week, and she also told me why Austria is a really great place for startups, especially hardware companies, not only big corporations, but also the smaller ones. Maybe Julia, you want to share that kind of thought with us?
Yeah, sure. I think we just heard some interesting insights, and I can just add to that basically there's so many industrial companies and there's so much knowledge about production processes, and so there's this great knowledge base that we can build on. And then there's all the support initiatives, like there's public initiatives, as Raphael said, but there's also many private initiatives. And when you look at startups, but also as SMEs in general, R&D can really be a challenge because it's expensive, but you just need to see where you can find support. Like, for example, BNC has the Huschka Prize, which is an award that is annually given to application-driven research, and that's exactly what hardware SMEs do. So I think you just need to look around how you can be supported and find, as I just said, for the right partner, because there's really a great basis in Austria already. And you just need to step into this network, and then, yeah, I think you can really thrive in Austria as well.
Yes, exactly. I think that's a really good point. I think it's also interesting, for example, how Factory Hub is working. Christian, are you also working with overseas, or are you just working with on the Austrian side? So what is on that kind of thing your approach to building up a network that is not only in Austria but also international?
Yeah, we started as an initiative in Austria, that's clear. So we are sitting in the 23rd district. It's not the heart of Vienna, but it's the heart of Europe. And this is also in our strategy, the next step to go out. So yeah, now it looks like more digital. Yeah, so we are thinking more in digital hardware hubs. Yeah, and not direct that we have a space in, I don't know, Shenzhen or Africa maybe. But we are looking for some connections at the moment. We are working. We have a sales force in US where we can very well where we can fast connect to US market and also startups there.
Mhm.
And also now we are working on Shenzhen connectivities and also Africa or Tel Aviv. So we know in special field Tel Aviv is an amazing place for hardware and software related startups. They have a cool combination with military and also and put this technology into commercial products. Yeah, cool combination. Yeah, and I like what we a little bit have to do in our field in Austria, especially in Austria, is exactly this combination of different things. It's not only that we have to be Silicon Valley or we have to be Shenzhen. Yeah, I mean this train is away. Okay, what we have to find our way. Yeah, in Europe, not only Austria, or not only Lower Austria and Upper Austria or Vienna and Carinthia. No, we as Europe have to find the other way of collaboration and the next step. And that's very important also for the factory hub to have some connections. Now we build up in Berlin to a lot of hardware startups and also to hubs directly. But it's a lot of work to do this connectivity and bring a value for all partners in this area. That's very important. But what we see, it's pretty cool. So to bring startups together, they have maybe an IoT or other smart textiles. What we see as an example, it's upcoming more and more. And we have seen it 2016. It was a little bit dead. Yeah, okay. And now maybe it gives a push about technology and so on. And then you need this fast interaction between these ecosystems that you get these informations in a speedy way. Okay. And then you can create other new things. So that is what we are working on, also on the global setting. Yeah.
Yes, I totally agree, and I think that's also like what Martin Ohneberg was saying at the beginning. I think it's super important that we also look not only local to Austria, also international. Exactly. That we are building up the communities and the networks only here in Austria, also internationally. And I think also, Julia, again, to your side, if you're doing an investment in a hardware company, for example, it's not only that you're giving them money, it's also you're providing them with a great network afterwards. Yeah, not only local, also international. And I think that's a really important factor of an investor. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that's really important for startups if they choose their investor, that they really look at what the investor can provide to them. And usually money alone is not enough.
Mm-hmm. Exactly. If I look at the time, we are almost running out of time. It's like crazy. It's passing by. We are all at the Beers with Peers session for sure. Maybe you can do what you can do, and it's also super good for the audience. Would be make like a one last. It's maybe just one sentence, one last statement on how you would like in your area of focus you would support like hardware companies, and what kind of advice would you give them? Maybe just 2 or 3 words or one sentence, please. Maybe Philip, let's start with, because you have the most experience as a hardware owner.
Choose your partners and team members very wisely, and then because you're going to stay quiet for some time with them.
Okay. Stephen?
I would say you need perseverance and patience in the product development process, and have or establish faculty to learn and listen. Have a strong strategy for your company, but stay flexible in operative concerns, and have the openness to give up paths, ideas, thoughts, aberrations, if they are wrong or false.
Super cool. Julia?
I would just say stay focused and stay motivated, even if it takes longer than you expected at the beginning.
Exactly. Raphael?
Yeah, for my it is what you all said. Choose your partners wisely, and there is help of getting partners or approaching partners worldwide. So be open for coaching and being accompanied.
Mm-hmm. Christian?
Yeah, keep your passion for hardware. Yeah.
Exactly. Really cool. Thank you so much for all the insights, for everything. If you from the audience will have still some questions left, please feel free to join the beer with peers. You can face-to-face meet the panelists, and I'm sure they're super happy to answer all of your questions. Now let me just quick go to my slides. I will share that with you now. Yes, we saw the panelists again, and I want to thank to all speakers again for taking part in what has been an informative and entertaining and thought-provoking event. And also a big thanks to our partners. We have a lot of partners in the background. You can see, for example, Factory. That is our media partner. We are also part of the Vienna Up that is coming up in the next 2 weeks. We are working together with the Wirtschaftskammer Österreich. We are also working for sure because we also had Simon Tückelmann was at their Brutkasten in a quite early stage. I think it was last year. And for sure, we also have Factory Hub, the hardware community. Thank you for the support, but also a really big thank you to the whole team in the background that was working pretty hard that this event is like that amazing that it is now. Thank you, Samu. Thank you, Julia, for this. And now I want to quickly explain to you what is going on after the event. So the Beers with Peers session will be held like you will see the different tables. You can just jump to the different tables, for example, Austrian startups, where Philipp Sonnleitner will be. You can just take a seat, click on it, and then you are in the meeting and you can face-to-face talk to him. If all the seats are fully booked, maybe you have to wait 1 or 2 minutes or a bit longer, then you can go to another table. Just feel free to interact. We are open. We are opening up a beer and sitting with you together to really have this Launchpad final. Thank you very much for watching this event final, Launchpad final. This is not the last one. I can assure you that this was just the beginning. We have like every month we have different Launchpads in different countries. Thank you for the attention, and I'm looking forward to see you all at the Beers with Peers session.